In what way does your media product use, develop or challenge forms and conventions of real media products? My media product uses ideas from a variety of different film genres. Since the film is based on the functioning principle of a psychological thriller, I have tried to stick to the conventions of traditional thrillers, and I have also tried to develop these into mixed aspects of different horror movies, since I'm a big fan. I've used the influences from films such as Lord of the Rings and used the inspirations from the character Gollum and the way that he has to try and deal with his split personality. There are also some very effective usage of the camera to show that he has another side to him. I have used inspiration from Fight Club and the character Tyler Durden, who is just in fact an imagination of the main character's memory. There are very effective uses in the camera work, showing subliminal messages to get this across. Revolver is another film I have taken some inspiration from, and one scene in particular where Jake is in the elevator and we see his mind jumping all over the place. I have used examples from films such as Paranormal Activity, which is where the influence for the horror has snuck into my film. There are specific scenes in the Paranormal Saga where we see the family sleeping through a video camera and we see the tape sped up and events start to unravel. I liked having the idea of a dream sequence in this film. I thought that it may be a nice way to lead up to the events which begin to unravel in my movie. So, the link I have for my dream sequence is having the main character asleep and the same principle of having the sped up tape while he sleeps. I made sure that the main character was moving around a lot, trying to create the effect that they're having a nightmare or a bad dream. Paranormal Activity also has many shots where you believe that you may have seen something, but actually it can be left up to the eye of the viewer whether or not they saw it. Personally, I feel that this is a good aspect that films carry into their films, and as it leads to have an open interpretation and aids the enigma of the movie. In my film, there is one shot after the ball is bouncing where you can look at the bottom right of the frame and you'll be able to see a large shadowy figure move. I wanted to try and make this a symbolic gesture, as in fact there may be someone in the house, or it can again just be an interpretation of someone's mind. One of the more powerful scenes in my film is the way that the figure glows in the dark of the door frame. This is taken from many horror or stalker films, such as See No Evil. By subverting this idea, I have used the traditional wipe on the screen by using the main character's body walking past the camera. I personally find this technique very effective, so I included the body wipe, which then opened up a still-shotted camera position with a big empty space in the background. The body wipe was in the foreground. Then, through a little colour editing on iMovie HD, I was able to darken the scene and make it have more of an enigmatic feel and horror tone. I then used the clashing of the red light on the darkness to try and use the idea of symbolism to suggest that the red mirrors danger and the darkness suggests the evil that still follows the character. My film typically follows the non-linear narrative by having the end at the start of the film, and then with the use of a flashback the story finds itself and begins to unravel. I wanted to put this in my film as I find it one of the most effective uses in media development. There are several films that use this technique. For example, Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. This is a film that has 3 non-linear narratives and also 3 separate storylines that all interlink at the end. This was an idea that we had thought of doing, however given the time allotted I didn't think that we would have the skills to perform this, so I just decided to stick to one non-linear narrative. Other films like this are such as Rock'n'Roller, Snatch, Layer Cake and Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, all of these Guy Ritchie and Tarantino movies. Using media technologies in the process for making our films was a very large step up from last year, as it was a lot more independent. This proved to be a little bit of a struggle at times, as we're not all clued up with all the technologies, so there had to be some experiments with other files to try and develop our abilities. My movie was edited in iMovie HD, as I found this to be a stable program to use. The filming process for my movie underwent several changes throughout the months. Planning on my blog on WordPress explains this. The ideas that I originally had were continually in the mixer, with new ideas sparking off of the originals. We all use the same cameras that our teacher supplied us, all digital with very clear imagery. The only problem with these cameras was that the life expectancy was around half an hour before the battery drained, so when we were outside in our locations, this was a little problem that we encountered. The software GarageBand has always been a favourite of mine, as last year I created the music for our slash art horror genre movie, and I enjoyed doing this very much. This year I wanted to try and create a 5-minute piece of music, since there's lack of speech in my movie. However, I found that this was more effective to try and use subtle little techniques of sound like zingers and monotone drones. When these were placed in the correct areas and accompanied with the film, then I began to see quite a strong bond forming and quite some powerful moments. We also use Web 2.0 in the production of our A2 film by using sites such as Facebook and Twitter as our viral campaigns for the film to promote and gain extensive audience feedback from it, which again helped us massively in the development of our movie, as we could see what our flaws were and we can try to amend them. We used a site called Sound Bible as well, which was a free online website that gave us a chance to try and find some sounds that we are unable to create on our own and try and place these in our film to gain more of an effect. For example, we were able to get the laughter of women and the sound of a television turning on and off. These sounds, which appear to have only one use, were fun to use, so we can try and place these in different areas of the movie and try to create an obscure set of sounds which we might see as diegetic with the piece or contrapuntal. This is what gave us the drive to push our thoughts even further. I've also used the technique of talking to a camera near the end of my film. This is a technique that I have seen in many of today's new horror films where the whole film is filmed through the video camera, for example Cloverfield and The Last Exorcism. I wanted to include this effect in my film because I almost see it as breaking the fourth wall and talking to the audience, which I feel gives more emotion to the film and empathy towards the character, as we can see the situation that they are in and then it aids to the emotions of the character. Also, I find this a very effective way of engaging with the characters in the film, as we get a sense of that we almost know them, their traits and behaviours, and through the sound and the way that they're acting, our imaginations piece together an image of the darkness, creating the same effect like the paranormal movies. Having the unknown as the villain in my movie, I feel is a very effective move, as the audience are left then to decide for themselves what they want the evil to look like. I tried to use this idea, however I have added in subtle little hints that there may be something actually stalking or haunting the main character. However, by subverting this idea, I have made the villain recognisable to be either the main character or someone else in the house. Audience feedback for my film has been very helpful in many different ways. We have used extensive audience research to find out the pros and cons of our movie and film poster. We uploaded our films to our Facebook accounts, Twitter accounts and also YouTube. By making the settings to private, we can then have the movie distributed among people who we do not know, so we do not receive any biased results or invalid answers. The audience feedback from my film poster, The audience feedback from the poster is what I have found most effective. The poster is very visual and I wanted to try and get the message across straight away without any confusion. So I've been resizing and placing the images over each other for a good 2 weeks. Now we have finally settled on a final design. I thought that I would stick to the normative pattern of film posters and have the blurb at the bottom of the page, with the titles on top standing out and having the tagline underneath. The tagline has gone through many changes. I wanted it to obviously relate to the split personality of my movie, so it's had captions like "One man, two minds, endless possibilities," and "Are two heads really better than one?" a famous quote by Albert Einstein. I've now settled on "No one can stop from what comes from within." I feel that with the combination of all my texts together, the poster, the review, the film and my blog, that this has been quite an effective journey. You can see the path that I have taken on my blog and the ideas that have sparked from this. The review and the poster, both being done on Fireworks software, has been an enjoyable challenge and has given us a chance to enhance our skills and develop even further into the media field. Overall, there are areas of my film that could be improved upon, which is explained in my film review, but I am happy with the end result and the combination of these elements.